Good evening from FSCJ, ready for the second semifinal of the 5th annual Fortegra Invitational, presented by the CSI Companies. Sean Salisbury, Toby Frazier back with you. And boy, if that first semifinal was anything to get us ready for this second matchup tonight, we are in for a treat after Providence wills themselves to a 58-53 overtime win over a pesky Oakleaf Knights club. Now we set our focus to the Sandalwood Saints and Nease Panthers. We're getting our starting lineups for the Saints. They are led by Jalen Kennedy, Caden Torre, Randy Pate III, Sajari Love, and Tavion Dunbar, led by 2 sophomores that will hope to get a lot of the scoring done for a team that took down Orange Park 42-36 yesterday. Now for the Nease Panthers, they will be led by St. Joseph Academy transfer Andy Gonzalez, with Jake Larson, Bryson Utter, their leading scorer at nearly 20 points per game on the season, Ty Gebauer, their star guard, and Brooks Utter. These starting lineups brought to you by the Boss of Barbecue, Bono's Barbecue. Remember, if it ain't in a pit, it ain't legit. Settling back in now, Toby, what do we look forward to? You talked about in our first game, those first 3-4 minutes, so crucial when you're playing one of the bigger teams. Nease made it to the championship last year in this event. If you are Sandalwood or even Nease, how do you play these first few minutes? What do you want to see to get off to a good start?
There's going to be a filling out process initially, but these are two contrasting styles. Nease likes to play a little bit more methodical, slow the ball down, more of a half-court game. Sandalwood is more of an up-tempo, pressure defensive type team. They say styles make fights. This is going to be an interesting fight tonight because these are two different style teams that we're about to see here tonight, Sean.
And Sandalwood really got to grind out a low-scoring win over Orange Park. Meanwhile, Nease took down Camden County 46-34 in a game. They led by 16 at halftime, but 19 turnovers. Somewhat spoils their 6th straight win to start the season. In the center circle, they battle for it, and nobody touched it, so we'll do it again. Randy Paint, the third. Going up against Brooks Utter. 6'5" senior for Sandalwood wins the tap, and we're underway in our second semifinal. The winner to meet Providence tomorrow night in the championship game of the 5th annual Fortegra Invitational. Sajari Love, a sophomore guard, the #1 returning scorer from last year's Saints team. More than content to slow it down.
Seems to be some confusion here from Sandalwood on what set they're running here to start the game.
They'll pick it up with Jalen Kennedy. Now swing it back to Love. On top for Pate the third. Nease doing its best to stay in front. Pressuring the ball a little. Good move to get inside. Floater won't go. Rebound controlled by Jake Larson. One of the senior leaders for the Panthers this season. But he has his pocket picked. Pate the third now loses the handle. Bryson Utter, there's their leading scorer. Quick pass. Find an open Larson. Now Utter. Good kick to the corner. This three from Utter, no good.
Not a bad possession there by Nease. He got a wide open three-pointer off the drift pass on the baseline drive. Good offense early on, just didn't knock it down.
Sandalwood led by Joseph Simmons in his 2nd season. Replaced David Cusack, who spent 24 years as a head coach at Sandalwood. And now a loose ball and a foul. All right, can that be the problem of some of these slower offenses? They can somewhat lull you to sleep, and you never know when to take chances on those opportunities.
And what it does for the defense, it makes your defense get antsy. Guys get impatient. They have more of a tendency to reach. You have to stay disciplined in those situations and let the possessions play themselves out. You can't make a team shoot the ball.
Good three, that's a nice look, and it goes down. Jake Larson, the 6-foot senior, puts the Panthers on the board.
It's a nice flare screen action there to get Larson open. He can catch and shoot it. He's one of the best shooters that we have in the area.
Lethal lefty, but that's more for him on the diamonds. Going to play college baseball next year. Still one of the key pieces for Nease this season. Good pass, Kennedy inside, wave it off. It's an offensive foul. Taken by, guess who, Jake Larson.
Good job by Larson. Kennedy a little bit out of control there. You like to see kids jump stop in traffic, play off 2 feet, but a good job by Larson stepping in, taking the charge for his team.
Coach Josh Balin, in his 9th season for Nease, said guys like Jake, it comes down to that. The ones who are willing to take the charges in practice, not just in games. Who sets the tone in these games where you're playing your 2nd game in 2 days, 3rd game in 3 days tomorrow? You handle yourself as an athlete and a student. Larson back up top. Can't hit another one. Second chance for the Panthers.
You know, Nease is very patient, Sean. They're not, you can't bait them into taking tough shots. They're going to get a shot that they want every possession.
Leighton Toby for Sandalwood was ready for that one. He comes up with a rejection on the run. This layup too strong off the backboard from Sajari Love. Kind of what we expect, though. A different sort of affair in our 2nd semifinal compared to the first. A little more methodical and much fewer possessions expected.
You know, and it's tournaments like this provide you this type of variety where you see different types of styles of play because teams have different personnel.
Jumper short from Bryson Utter. Does well retreating, and Sandalwood gives it up again. Still scoreless more than midway through this 1st quarter.
And the offense that Nease has a tendency to run, watching them last night against Camden County, you know, Coach Balin, he opted to go to a stall in the middle of possessions. Then they get into something that's more intentional to where they're looking to get Larson a shot off a 3 or somebody else off a shuffle screen towards the basket.
Utter attacks. The defense stands tall. That was Caden Torre, a stud sophomore for the Saints. Love starts to pick up the pace, now peels back. On a handoff to Torre, working inside. And a blocking call goes against Nease.
It's a tough, you know, we talked about that block charge call the first game. You know, I always like to give the kudos to the kid that's taking the charge because it's so much of a body sacrifice to hit the floor and take that contact, but, you know, it has to be done properly.
Davion Dunbar quickly gets rid of it. Now Torre. Those are the 2 sophomores expected to be big today, but it's Torre on another path to the rim. Ends up going and getting called for the charge.
And from a coaching standpoint, Sean, once we take one charge as a team, as a coach, I'm telling my guys, the other team is not going to jump stop. So we should take multiple charges. So it's encouraging for Coach Balin to see at this point he's had multiple players attempt to take a charge.
Whistle away from the ball and a foul on the Saints. We'll see who takes charge here in a 3-0 ball game. The final minutes of the 1st quarter already. Good slip. Great out-of-bounds play to set up Bryson Utter. Not just the #1 scorer for the Panthers this year, he also draws the #1 defensive assignment game in and game out.
That's a nice play drawn up by Coach Balin there on the baseline out of bounds. Nice finish by Utter.
Love trying to work into the paint. Nice backdoor find. The help defense was just a little bit better. Utter comes up with the rebound. A foul on Sandalwood. And the Saints look a little out of rhythm these first 6 minutes.
Yeah, they've gotten off to a slow start. Struggling a little bit on offense right now to find a rhythm. You know, and playing against teams like Nease is tough because they change the pace of the game, you know, almost lulling you to sleep at times, but you have to stay engaged defensively.
Both these programs won 19 games a season ago. They say 5 seconds closely guarded there. Didn't see an emphatic call from our official right in front of the scorer's table. Either way, it's a Nease turnover inside of 2 minutes in the first quarter. Sandalwood did win yesterday, 42-36, like we mentioned. That's the fewest points they've scored in a win since February of 2017, when they beat Ed White 38-37. I don't know if they want to try to do it again, though.
No, if I wouldn't want to. You know, you get wins how you can, but there is something to say about winning the way you want to.
In a tight spot, Andy Gonzalez kicks it out. This three short. Sandalwood lets it drop out of bounds. Well, the troops get up the court. Both these teams pride themselves on being mature and learning lessons, with each losing in the first round of the state playoffs last year. Nease, a heartbreaker in overtime to Crestview by just 2 points. Good block by Utter from behind. That's tough to do without fouling at this level.
You know, the last part you said is correct. Most kids go and just try to challenge the ball, but to remain vertical, not bring your arms down, maintain your airspace is tough to do for young kids. It's a great block there.
Final half minute of the opening quarter. Bender falls on his back. Gonzalez now with 10. Larson, good look, and buries it. Final seconds, Love heaves, no good. And after one, the Nease Panthers using a gritty defensive effort with limited offensive opportunities to take an 8-0 lead into the second stanza. If you're in the Sandalwood huddle right now, how do you find anything to get you going?
It has to be on defense. Like, you have to find a way to allow your defense to create offensive opportunities for you, especially when you're struggling to shoot the ball. Early on in the season, especially when you have young kids, you sometimes struggle on offense. You have to find creative ways. Get to the free throw line, attack the basket, try to apply some type of pressure defense, maybe a run and jump, something to create some type of havoc to allow you to get a steal in the open court to create it. It's not always going to come in a half-court situation. You can get good looks, but the ball just may not go in.
Yeah, we take a look, or try to think back to those first 2 minutes of the first quarter. Sandalwood was content to really hold it. Does that get in the way of just establishing a rhythm early in a game?
It does, and that's when you allow your opponent to dictate the tempo of the game. This game, this tempo, this pace, this favors Nease. Sandalwood is more of an up-tempo team. They play better in the half court. They're not as efficient as Nease is in the half court, so you have to find a way to impose your will. Right now, Nease has Sandalwood playing their game, and as you see, a scoreless quarter with 8 points. Nease is comfortable only scoring 32 points in a game if they have to. Sandalwood is not.
So we mentioned both these programs won 19 games last year. An important note for the Saints, they graduated their top 3 scorers and rebounders and also 6 of the 8 players on their roster to play at least 20 games last year. It's a big drop-off when, like you said, you're relying on a lot of sophomores who did get playing time last year, but weren't thrust into this kind of role.
And it's tough when you have that type of attrition because it takes so much time to get kids to learn your system and your culture. And then when you have, you know, kids exit the program in that amount, it's tough to start over again.
Another 3 goes down for Jake Larson, excuse me. His second 3 of the half. Makes it a double-digit advantage for the Nease Panthers, trying to get back to the championship game of the Fortegra Invitational for the 2nd straight year.
And this is where you have to be careful here, Sean, because now it's shifting to a defensive issue. Early on, it was a scoring issue, but now the way that Larson is shooting the ball and he's gotten multiple open looks, it's becoming a defensive issue now. You know, now they have 11 points. They only score 8 in the first quarter. They have 3 now in the first minute. You know, this can turn bad, you know, if Sandalwood doesn't get multiple stops.
They're known for their effort on this end of the court. Great pass. Again! Jake Larson brought a flamethrower into FSCJ tonight. He has 9 of the 14 for the Panthers. Good effort. Jalen Kennedy maneuvering inside to finally put Sandalwood on the board.
You know, that's a breath of fresh air there just to be able to get a basket. But you got to know where Jake Larson is if you're Sandalwood.
Active defense speeds things up, but Nease stays composed. Something Josh Balin told us right before the game, 19 turnovers yesterday, just be more in control, like that. Moving the ball well, but with purpose. And they score quickly and force a Sandalwood timeout.
Good offense there by Nease. A wing pass with the 1 cut. Sandalwood defender didn't jump to the ball. He allowed the Nease offensive player to cut his face. Good finish. Nease offense, you can say what you want. They're efficient. The kids are executing, and they're getting quality shots every possession.
Now, we said what Sandalwood lost from last year. Well, how about Nease? They lose one of the best players in the city. All news for Jack's first team member, Logan Ryan, scoring 19 points per game, shooting better than 40% from 3 over a season. And Coach Balin was honest with us. He said there's so many questions going into September for us, and we really did have to ask ourselves, what is this going to look like when we lose not just Logan, but 6 other seniors on our roster? And he said, you know what? Got to step up. They fill the void. If you do the right things as a coach, it isn't just having special players and special seasons. You run a program, and programs, right, expect to win 20 games year in, year out.
And you do that by making sure your seniors lead the right way. Make sure that they teach the young guys how things are supposed to go, how to practice, how to prepare, and leave a message of listen to coach. That way the culture carries over from season to season.
Out of the timeout. Quick pass intercepted by Andy Gonzalez. Dangerous pass. Pinballing around for a moment, now settled down by the Panthers. With their star junior, Bryson Utter, 17 points and a 12-point win over Camden County yesterday.
And here's this stall, Sean, that they ran against Camden County last night. You know, Coach Balin, when I see coaches do stuff like this, he's found something to provide his kids with some comfort in the middle of possessions. And, you know, it's working, and you can't disagree with something that's working.
Coach Balin played for Coach Bud over at Ponte Vedra in his playing days. Picked up a thing or two, trying to keep that gritty style that we've seen help the Sharks win a lot of ball games over the years.
Coach Bud Beach is one of the legendary coaches we had in our area over the years. His son, Bo, was a great shooter for that UNF team over there.
Aren't all coaches' sons great shooters?
Smart. I wouldn't say always great shooters, but they're always smart.
Great teamwork. A total team effort for Nease in this first half. starting on the defensive end. It has paved the way for the offense to take an 18-2 lead.
You know, Sean, it's hard to defend sets that you don't run. You know, if it's something that you don't have in your offensive playbook, it's hard to defend it. Even if you scout it, you know, it's hard to get your kids to switch gears.
Sandalwood going to have to find something to try and come back. There's 4 points in the first 12 minutes, and they travel. 3 subs coming in for them. Leighton Toby, or excuse me, Caden Torre, Alexis James, and Sajari Love. Work it back to Gonzalez. Nice drive, but in traffic. Cale Thompson throws it away. Rare chance to run for Sandalwood. Tough two, goes down. Alexis James really had to muscle that one in.
So nice basket by James there. Good transition basket for Sandalwood. See if they can put multiple stops together, create some more open court opportunities.
Gonzalez keeping his head on a swivel, finds Ty Gabauer, the other senior leader for the Panthers. And a blocking call against the Panthers, trying to take the charge on the drive. 2 free throws coming for the Saints. Trailing by 16, 2:53 to play in the half.
You know, Sean, you can't, in those situations where you're pressured, no matter what type of pressure you play, whether it's run and jump, whether it's a diamond press, a 1-2-1-1, your last line of defense can never leave the basket. In that last possession there, the Sandalwood defensive player who's at the has the basket, there's a rule. If you have the basket, you cannot leave the basket. And as you see why, Nease ends up with a wide open layup in that situation.
James goes 1 of 2 at the line. Sophomore making an instant impact off the bench. Now Jalen Stewart, another one of half a dozen seniors on the Nease roster. They'll settle down with Utter. Wanted the basketball. Stewart instead goes the opposite way. Nease 6-0 on the season. Only one of those wins particularly close is a miss in front, but Larson fouled on the second try. Free throws coming for Nease. Nice to put a bow on this. The one game they really got tested not too long ago, just a couple weeks back against Bartram Trail, they won in overtime. Bryson Utter poured in 21 points, and Larson had the game-tying field goal late in the fourth quarter to get to the extra session, and he's found a way to win. We talk about those Ponte Vedra schools, Nease especially. With Coach Balin now in his 9th season, you got to find a way to win games when you're uncomfortable, especially from behind. How can you make those plays in tight moments?
You know, Coach Balin, he gets the most out of his groups. I had an opportunity to coach against him my last year with the shooter that he had that you mentioned earlier. And his teams play the same. Like, they buy into the culture. They're patient. They're committed to running the offense. And they're a tough team to play against. You know, I would not want to play against a team like Nease in a one-game situation. You know, it's just, they don't make many mistakes, and they make you pay for the mistakes that you make.
Yeah, credit to Coach Balin. 3 straight winning seasons heading into this campaign in year 9. I talk about building programs and sustaining success, right? Not having the special player that can carry you to a good season. It's, okay, how do we continue the hype? How do we get kids to want to come here and stay here, honestly, Toby? What are those important factors you look for, especially in the programs like Nease?
You know, with coaches first, the kids want to know how much you care. And then once the kids know how much you care, you pour into them and you give them life and you give them basketball at the same time. And you have to prepare them. You have to make sure as a coach that you're preparing them for battle. You know, it gives you comfort as a coach and it gives them confidence as players. And you let your former players tell the story. So you get guys to come back. And you say, hey, coach is a great guy. Hey, man, you need to stay here. Hey, you can be successful here. And that's how programs turn over. The success rate continues to turn over because your players become the testament.
A foul on the rebound by Nease will send it down the other way. The Panthers in the bonus now, shooting 1 and 1. The final minutes of first half. Led 8-0 after one. A good defensive effort paving the way for a double-digit lead. Matthew Mitchell. Coach Balin said earning more time because he's forcing us to. He's played so well these first couple of weeks. We didn't really expect him to be a part of this rotation, but to his credit, he's out there playing bigger minutes because of defensive effort like that.
That's a great defensive effort there. Great job of moving his feet without fouling, walling up at the basket.
Stewart wanted to take that three. We'll go to coach's plan and pull it out.
You know, Sean, you have some people home watching this, and it may look uneventful, but I don't think people realize how hard it is with so much praise that kids get for scoring, for shooting. It's hard for a coach to get kids to buy in, to being this patient, to being committed to doing what we're trying to do. That's the hardest part in coaching, is getting kids to buy into what your vision is for the team, your trust about what you think is best. And Coach Balin has decided that playing this way will put them in the best situation to win. And I admire the fact that his kids are trusting him and they're sticking to the game plan.
With 1:16 left in the first half, time for us to take an FSCJ break. FSCJ is here for you. Here on the beautiful South Campus of Florida State College at Jacksonville. Hosts yet again for this great event. 8 of the best teams in the Jacksonville area going toe-to-toe for 3 days of non-stop basketball. The winner of this one will be in our championship game against Providence, as Jake Larson can do no wrong. He is carrying this Nease team to a big advantage before half. Good drop-off inside. And the basket by Randy Pate III.
It's a nice pass. Good finish by Pate. Pleasant sight for Coach Simmons and Sandalwood.
Starting to see more pressure from Sandalwood. Utter hit by a double team. Larson sidesteps the defense. Good extra pass, and it pays off. Ty Gebauer knocks it down.
And you see the maturity from Larson. He has it going, but just the unselfishness of him making the right play there allowed them to get another bucket.
That pass intercepted. Larson, time for one more shot. Puts it up. Just grazes the net on an otherwise flawless first half. A star senior Jake Larson leading the way for the Nease Panthers. They take an 18-point lead into the break. A little bit of a slow start, right, Coach, where you have that feeling out process for the first couple of minutes, and then, boom, Nease finds a gear, they hit some shots, and they really jump in front.
You know, they're in a comfort zone right now. Larson has it going. Sandalwood is frustrated on defense. Kudos to this Nease team for sticking to the game plan. They've been patient, and it's been paying off.
We saw an overtime thriller in our first game tonight. Providence just edging past Oakleaf. A great game. Nease kind of taking control of this one, but we know our semifinal is the third place game. We'll obviously still be tomorrow, so the loser of this game will still take on Oakleaf, and we have a full day of basketball for you tomorrow starting at noon with the first of 4 games as Rains takes on Camden County. Going to be a great day to close out this great event for a 5th straight year.
I'm looking forward to it, Sean. I've had the pleasure of calling this tournament for the last 3 years. It's been fun. Great talent we have in the city. Looking forward to see this big day that we finish up with tomorrow.
About 10 minutes on the clock for halftime here. We will now bring the headset over on for John Avendano, the president of FSCJ. We'll get him over here in just a moment. The hosts, once again for this event. So many great sponsors, so many great people that make this happen. And while we love to sit here and watch the basketball, we're now welcomed by Dr. John Avendano, hired as the 6th president of Florida State College at Jacksonville in April 2019. We know you like to hit the links. We know you like your outdoors time. Is it still weird for you to wear short sleeves at this point in the year?
It is, but I got to tell you, I really love it. That's
And
part
now,
of the reason why I came to Florida, right? I have to deal with temperatures in the teens at this time.
yeah, an Illinois lifer, how did you find yourself coming down to here?
So, truth be told, I had retired from Illinois. I had worked there for 33 and a half years at 3 different community colleges while I was there. My wife and I talked about where's that next destination, where's that, really our final destination where we wanted to move to. Florida had always been a place that we loved to come to, and we would vacation here regularly. And, again, through serendipity, this position became available. Our middle daughter was in Jacksonville. She was working at Mayo Clinic, and she introduced us to the area, and we fell in love with the place. And the presidency opened up, and again, I went through the search, one of the 74, and I was fortunate enough and blessed to get the position.
And for those that don't know your story all too well, first generation to get through college, you're a parent, you're a son of parents who emigrated from Mexico.
Correct.
What is this story? Why did you find such passion in education?
Well, like you said, the shorter of the story is both of my parents are from Mexico. They were hard workers all their lives. They worked in factories all their lives. They knew a couple of things. One is if I was going to be successful in this country, first I had to learn to speak the language. Second, I had to get an education. And there's a much longer story behind that, but the bottom line is, they really supported me and pushed me and encouraged me and wouldn't accept anything other than pursuing my education. So I started at my local community college up in Illinois, and really through athletics, because even though my parents wanted me to become or go into education or at least get an education, that wasn't really who I thought I was going to be, right? So the local community college came recruiting. I played baseball there, and again, I continued to play ball through college and fell in love with the mission and the purpose of what the community college does, and that's how I ended up both in Illinois and here.
And then now, what are your goals moving forward with FSCJ? I know this is a great opportunity for us to learn more about you in this area. Obviously, you have an enrollment of about 40,000 students, not just here at the South Campus, but over closer towards downtown. What kind of challenges are there with these 2 campuses, but what are the opportunities also?
Sure. Well, one of the things, as you said, Sean, we have 40,000 students, so a lot of people don't know how big we really are, right? So we have 40,000 credit students. We have a number of other students that take other things as well. We actually have 4 campuses. We have our North Campus, this South Campus, Kent Campus, which is over on the west side off of Roosevelt, and our downtown campus. And then we have 3 centers as well. So we have a center up in Nassau County, a center over at Cecil Airfield, and in Deerwood, which a lot of people are familiar with as well. So, and then we have 2 academies. So we do all the training for.
That's all.
That's all. We have 4 campuses, 3 centers, and 2 academies: the Fire Academy and the Police Academy. So we do all the training for them as well. So we really, through our 150 different programs that we offer here, we really have something for everybody. Not just those who are coming out of high school, but even those who are maybe thinking about career changes. Our average age is still about 28, 29 years old of our students. So we serve both traditional age students and non-traditional age students, like I said, through our 150 different programs. Our emphasis here most recently has been what has gotten people into the workforce. So IT, financial technology, fintech is a big deal in our community. We've been trying to attract students into fintech, business, healthcare, health career programs. So we have, like I said, pretty much something to offer everybody. And if they just want to get started, like I did, just want to get started with your first 2 years of a bachelor's degree, we offer the Associate of Arts as well.
I know I've seen the pictures of you all over with all those different programs you just stated, taking pictures with nursing students and business students, and you say you and your wife love coming to different sporting events, not just the big-time events, but the high school events too. You love coming out for all this stuff. What makes you so passionate that you want to be around so many people and just shake the hands and just be involved?
It keeps me young, honestly. That's what it really does. That's part of what I've always loved about working in education, and especially at the college level, because it does keep you young. But my wife and I have always been really big fans of, in fact, she should be walking in the door any minute, but we've always been really big fans of high school prep. So we'll go to high school football games, even here, even though we don't know anybody, right? We'll go to high school basketball games. We'll go check out some baseball teams and things like that. So, sports and athletics, she was a swimmer and a tennis player. So, we just have grown up around it, and we've enjoyed it, and we continue to support it in any way that we can.
All right, last question for you.
Yes, sir.
We've seen a couple of good semifinals so far. Nease taking control with a nice defensive effort. What have you made for our potential championship matchup tomorrow night? Not to look ahead, but Nease in control here, maybe playing Providence tomorrow night.
Well, I think Providence is obviously they won a little early. That was a fantastic game, a little overtime game. Caught the second half of that. So Providence looks long. They look long and athletic. But I got to tell you, Nease is a very well-coached team, very disciplined. They move the ball well. They seem to find the open man all the time. So I think it's going to set up to be a great championship game tomorrow night.
Great work ethic, great hairline from Dr. John Avendano, the president of FSCJ. Thank you so much for stopping by at half.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
27-9, our halftime score. Will come back in just a couple of minutes. Get you ready for the third quarter of our second semifinal matchup in the 5th annual Fortegra. Getting ready for the start of the third quarter between Sandalwood and Nease in our second semifinal tonight. Winner takes on Providence. The loser will play Oakleaf in the third place game tomorrow night. Sean Salisbury, Coach Toby Frazier back with you. Halftime adjustments. Nease, how do you push this lead, not get complacent, like you said, in a very similar score after last night's game?
Nease is going to stay steady with what they do. They're comfortable making 10, 15 passes in the half court. They're comfortable running off 2-3 minutes on the clock. They're up right now, no rush. For Sandalwood, they're going to have to extend their defense. They're going to have to apply some type of pressure to try to create turnovers to change the pace of this game. Right now, the pace favors Nease, and Sandalwood is going to have to do something to change their situation soon.
The Saints start with the basketball. At 10 minutes to talk things over after they didn't even score in the first quarter. And they turn it over on the opening possession of the third period.
And, I would like to see Sandalwood try to apply some pressure. They've elected to play half-court man defense, which is to Nease's advantage because this is where they're most comfortable.
It was the Jake Larson show in the first half for Nease. Hit 4 3-pointers. After his really low scoring those first 4 or 5 minutes, he took over and helped build this 18-point lead for the Panthers. Trying to get to 7-0 to start the season under 9th-year head coach Josh Balin. Utter whips it out, extra pass. It's Larson. Offensive rebound.
And you can't give up second chance opportunities to this Nease team. Now you're putting yourself in a position where you're having to play defense for another 2 minutes or so now.
They'll feed the post with a bit of a mismatch. Utter, their leading scorer. Maybe one too many passes. Love, one-on-one, can't bank it in. On a tough angle. O-board pulled down by Jalen Kennedy, and he's fouled.
Good rebound by Kennedy. Great job of not giving up on the play. He continued to run. Just didn't assume that his teammate was going to make the layup. Those are the plays that Sandalwood is going to need to get back into this game, those effort plays.
That's how Joseph Simmons used to play in his days, huh? Two-time state finalist at Ribault. Took over Sandalwood just last year. He opened up, talked about it, and said, our all-encompassing system begins with a strong work ethic, growth and development, and a passion to be your best at all times. Philosophy of community involvement, academic expectations, and year-round training, that's all going to translate. We've seen that from some of the best programs in the area.
You know, Sean, so funny story about Coach Simmons. One of those teams that he played on, they ended my high school career at Paxton. So we played against each other several times in high school, and we lost in the semifinals of the district to the Ribault team our senior year. So every time I see him, I have.
You're not shaking hands?
I still have some feelings about my high school career ending to the Ribault Trojans, but they had a good group, well coached, historical program under Coach Bernard Wilkes, and it's good to see him back coaching in Jacksonville after coaching at Shaw University and coaching at Northwestern State Community College.
His son is a freshman on the team, hasn't been in yet tonight. As the Saints push the ball up the floor, trailing by 15. Much stronger start to the second half than they did in the first. Love lost it for a moment. Couldn't work free and still battling. Forces a tie-up with Andy Gonzalez. Possession arrow favors Nease. They'll go back the other way.
Yeah, that was a frustration shot by Love there. He put his head down. I know he's frustrated. They're struggling as a team, but you got to keep your head. You got to stay composed, and you got to just focus on getting quality possessions.
Strong drive to the basket, and a stop touch off glass goes down for Bryson Utter.
Nice finish by Utter. Nice high left-hand finish.
And just out of control, Caden Torre runs right into Brooks Utter.
And you see Coach Simmons over there telling him to jump stop, play under control, jump stop. And that's when you have young players, you know, all you can do is coach them. You have to correct them. They're going to make mistakes, but you have to correct them. Good job by Coach Simmons there.
Yeah, Brooks Utter is the lead in a lot of drama productions at Nease, but he did not have to sell that call. Coach Balin saying, yeah, Bryson puts up the big numbers and gets the oohs and ahs when he starts going crazy like this. Couldn't finish it, though. Older brother, Bryce Brooks. He's a little grittier. He'll make those kinds of plays happen for you, especially standing at 6'3". It's his defense in the paint is where Nease needs him most.
Yeah, he's a physical presence. You know, and it's, you know, you mentioned about being a part of the drama. You know, you like to see kids engage in other things and bring that spirit to their teammates. You know, whether you play an instrument, you have guys singing in the locker room, if they're in the band. You know, you have guys telling jokes or acting if they're in drama. So that's always cool to see the kids in other things other than sports.
And that's what's so great about a lot of these schools involved in this tournament is how many kids have near 4.0 GPAs that are involved in things outside of basketball. It's so well-rounded. That's a tribute to the teachers and the families, administrators, all alike. It's all going well for Nease here. Up 19 midway through the third quarter. Good drive. Finish not there for Sandalwood's Randy Pate III, but earns 2 free throws in the process.
It's a nice move by Pate. You know, at this junction of the game, you're facing a deficit, and it's frustrating. But early on in the season, you have to stay focused. Get quality possessions. Don't think about the whole deficit. Just try to chip away. Let's get it to 15. Then see can you get it to 10. Then see can you get it to single digits. You know, that's the challenge for coaches when you're coaching young basketball players. They have a tendency to want to conquer the whole deficit in one possession, and it's just not possible.
Sandalwood entered tonight 4-2 on the season. Those 2 blemishes, not the shoddy competition or anything. It was the #1 ranked team in the city, Providence, lost by 32, and then the #3 team in the city, Andrew Jackson, who they lost to by 28. Nease, as of this week, vaulted into the #6 spot of the News4Jax Super 6 by Justin Barney. And they're certainly playing like one of the city's best. A solid effort on both sides of the floor. Been very methodical on this end too, and the extra passes have really paid dividends. Larson, little runner. Not the right angle to go in off glass. Davion Dunbar. Love has some separation. Good drive, got around Gonzalez for 2.
Great drive by Love, turning the corner. And I like to see kids finish, you know, without being able to touch the ball with their offhand. Great skill finish by Love there.
As soon as the ball gets into the front court, Josh Balin calls a quick timeout. 2:37 to play in the third quarter. Nease hanging on to that big halftime lead, 31-15.
Fans, whether it's a new roof or residential.
4 games tomorrow. Just to remind you, we start our coverage at noon with our 7th place game of the 5th annual Fortegra Invitational presented by the CSI companies with Camden County and Rains.
The difference is the promise. And a high quality.
We'll follow that up with some good action
within your reach.
later on with Orange Park and Mandarin. And then Oakleaf awaits the loser of this game at 4 o'clock before our championship game at 7:15. Potentially Nease back in the championship for a 2nd consecutive year to face Providence. Now Nease declared the winners of the 2021 Fortegra Invitational because of a forfeit by Fleming Island. Right out of the timeout, no dice there for Larson. Gonzalez throws it up. Knew the defense was off balance and made him pay.
It's a good hustle play to get an offensive rebound. We've seen quite a few offensive rebounds in these 2 games that we had tonight. And it's encouraging to see kids make plays where you don't have to draw up a play for them. They don't necessarily need a shot attempt to be productive. It's just all hustle, all grit. And that's a good offensive rebound there by Andy Gonzalez.
Not often you get a transfer from St. Joseph Academy. One of the better teams in the area, according to some of the rankings and who you ask. Well, what a service you can provide as a senior. 1 of 8 on this roster, along with a solid junior class for the Panthers. They clean up the wet spot on the floor. He sinks the first of 2.
And it's always good to get experienced players. They help you not only on the court, they help you in study hall, they help you in the locker room. You know, good teammates, good friends, just leaders on and off the court.
A little too fast up the court for the Saints. They'll lose the handle out of bounds, but how special does that tell you the type of kid Gonzalez is? Retransfer to a team with already that many seniors that have been in this program for a coach that's been there for almost a decade now, and yet you're the one starting.
You know, you have some guys, because of the way they play, their style of play, you have what you call plug-in guys. They fit right in. They have the right temperament, the right attitude. They're unselfish. You have to be unselfish playing for Coach Balin, and Gonzalez is one of those guys.
Total team effort for Nease tonight. It has to be if you're holding your opponent to 15 points through nearly 24 minutes.
And part of their defense is their offense, because the way they play offense, they don't make many mistakes, and the opponent is taking the ball out of bounds majority of the game versus getting transition buckets off of steals or turnovers. You know, they very rarely have a live ball turnover.
Great teamwork again. 3 comes up short from Matthew Mitchell. Racing the other way, offensive foul. Yet another charge taken by these Panthers. Just incredible defensive consistency and just getting back on every possession, make or miss.
And when you have multiple players taking, that's a program staple. When you see multiple players taking charges, multiple players willing to sacrifice their body for their team, that's kudos to Coach Balin. That's a staple of their program.
Travel inside. That's called on Bryson Utter. A little bit quiet tonight after 17 points in the first round win yesterday. I think he can save it for another day. He can score in bunches.
You know, one thing I like, Sean, that's hard. You know, with me being a former high school coach, and I admire it while I'm sitting here watching. Everybody on Nease's team, they know that Jake Larson is their best shooter, and they're fine with that. So you see a lot of those extra passes. You have other players giving up their wide open shot to get him a shot. And you can win basketball games that way with that unselfish nature and no egos. Just, hey, he can shoot it better than I can. I'd rather give up my wide open shot to get him a wide open shot. And it's good to see kids, you know, play with that type of spirit.
We're seeing it 1 through 10 on Nease's lineup. There's a foul call on the Saints after a Sajari Love mid-range jumper. He'll now pick up his 3rd foul, Love, in the final minute of the 3rd quarter. Nease led 27-9 at the break. Utter looking for the foul call, couldn't get it. Nice strip by the Saints. One of the rare times we've seen Nease move relatively quick on offense tonight. All part of the plan. Larson leading all scorers tonight in double figures. Utter with a good fake. You can hear Coach Balin from here settle. They want the last shot of the period. Down to 5, deflected pass. Have to put it up, and there's a foul. Tyga Bauer is fouled. Let's see if it's 2 or 3. It's 3. And the foul, Sajari Love's 4th. A backbreaker in the final seconds.
You know, that's tough. That's a tough foul. I mean, you're struggling already defensively. You know, you're 1.5 seconds away from going into the quarter, you know, with a decent deficit that you've been able to cut. And to compound that, that's Love's 4th foul, with him being one of their better defenders. So that's a double whammy for Coach Simmons and this Sandalwood team right now.
That ends the third quarter of play.
And at the end of the third quarter, your score.
Nease keeping a big lead out of halftime. 8 minutes away from another date in the Fortegra Invitational Championship tomorrow night. Mentioned Nease maybe not as dominant as the other top teams in this field like we expected. Oakleaf and Providence before their overtime thriller tonight. They'd pretty much blown out every team they faced, but it's Nease. Is it really by design, the style they play? They had a 2-point win over Fletcher. They beat Bishop Kenny by 5. Had to tie the game against Bartram Trail late and win that one in overtime. Yeah, they've had a couple of big wins themselves, but they seem very comfortable playing in their style. And look, as long as you're winning those close games, you're going to be prepared come February and March.
You know, you have to cater to your personnel. Nobody knows the personnel better than the coach. So you're watching this team play, and people have different opinions, especially after watching the game that we just watched with the athleticism, the size of a Providence and an Oakleaf. But if you don't have those players, you don't have those athletes, you have to play a style that's conducive to the skill set of your players. And that's what coaching is. Put your players in the best situation that they can be successful. Now, years from now, a few years from now, Coach Bailey may have a different group of kids with different capabilities. You may see them out here pressing, you know, playing faster. So you have to adjust to your players. You can't put one before the other. You can only do what they allow you to do.
See how both teams come out for these final 8 minutes. Getting ready to wrap up our second full day of basketball here at FSCJ. A monumental effort by the folks at Airstream Ventures, led by Alan Verlander. So many wonderful sponsors to get everything taken care of. Seems so effortless watching Nease move the ball.
Yeah, they're fundamentally sound. You see the ball fakes, the triple threat, squeezing the ball, pivoting. You know, it's just a great display of fundamental basketball.
I was going to say, we'll have to start counting the number of dribbles versus the number of passes. Very deliberate in shifting the zone defense from the Saints. Toss up no good. Gonzalez on the second effort. Banks it in over a couple of blue shirts. And another timeout from Sandalwood. And that's just effort.
And like you mentioned earlier, you talked about him transferring in. Those are the type of guys that can play anywhere. Those are plug-in guys. Coach, I don't need the basketball. I don't need you to run plays for me. I'm just going to go out and hustle. I'll get offensive rebounds. I'll play defense. Those are the type of kids that you win a lot of basketball games with.
Discover the Duval Real Deal at
How often do you see that? Is it usually just that one kid per team that can elevate the others on the floor because of his mentality, his style of play?
It can, kids like Gonzalez, it can help because he's a senior and he can look at the younger guys and say, hey, if I can do this my last year, you guys can do this. And once you see his playing time increase, the guys that's not playing as much, you know, they either jump on board, you know, or they continue not to play as much. So, you know, it's always good to see a player like that get rewarded. You see his teammates cheer for him. That sends a message to the rest of the kids like, hey, I don't have to shoot the ball like Larson does to be able to contribute to this team.
Find a way to contribute any way you can to be out on the floor for a program that has 3 consecutive winning seasons under Josh Balin. A great job building up the Panther program. Tough shot. And the first attempt out of the timeout by Justin Jackson, but the freshman getting some run here in the final 6 minutes. Otter loses the leather, and Jalen Kennedy comes up with it. There's Joseph Simmons II. 2 in blue. Off the catch. Swing it back to Antonio Hodges. All but one player on the floor right now. Underclassmen for Lionel Simmons.
And you want to get your young players playing time in situations like this. You know, it's good experience for them. Get a chance to make some mistakes. They get a chance to get a feel for the atmosphere. So, and they'll be better for it in the future.
Yeah, the one time they can make mistakes without getting pulled, huh? Even the coach's son.
You know, I tell kids, you only get one chance to be a freshman. No matter what you do, good or bad, they're going to say, hey, he's just a freshman. You only get one opportunity. After that, you're not a freshman anymore.
Hodges with a good steal and save. That paves the way for Jalen Kennedy playing out there with a couple of sophomores and a couple of freshmen here in the fourth quarter.
It's a nice move by Kennedy. Good footwork.
Better passing from Nease to break the press, and Gonzalez picks up the assist to Brooks Utter. Really deserved the hockey assist on that play, though.
So, you know, that's that glue guy term. Gonzalez is a glue guy for them. He gets it done on both ends. Ultimate team player.
It's the 2 seniors, Andy Gonzalez and Jake Larson, with 4 threes in the first half that propel the Panthers to a double-digit lead, and now he holds the basketball for a moment. Utter up ahead to Gonzalez, and Nease up 19 will continue to slow things down.
In these situations, Sean, you want to continue to coach. I guess it's early December, you're still coaching. You know, not necessarily for the score, you're just coaching situations that may occur in the future. So you want the kids to stay engaged on the bench, coaching staff is engaged. You know, it's not necessarily for the score right now, we're just coaching to get better.
And Josh Balin described his team as mature and composed. He thinks, you know, we've already had a number of close wins this year. I think that can epitomize our identity. That can get us to the playoffs, where we lost in overtime by 2 last year to Crestview. And I know you said it too, learning to play in these environments, in these moments against competition where you're not always getting a week to prepare, or you're trying to work on short rest, or you're a little bit tired, right? Like, everybody in February is going to be tired.
Right.
There's no excuses at that point. How do you think this will help test Nease playing different types of teams in Providence tomorrow night?
You know, it will prepare them, you know, by the time they get to the postseason, there shouldn't have been a roster as far as makeup that they haven't seen, especially playing around in the Jacksonville area. We have a good variety of talent, size, speed. You know, you mentioned earlier, you don't necessarily have to leave Jacksonville to get a good look. We have a lot of talent here. We have a lot of diverse programs from a basketball standpoint. You know, you just want to continue to coach hard, continue to do your homework. You know, one thing that's hard to get in the postseason is film. Guys don't want to share film. Coaches don't want to share film, you know, with their buddies, or so, you know, you have to do your homework early.
Well, you just echoed what pretty much every coach said to us unprompted ahead of the tournament this week is, look, we know it's a football town. We have so many great athletes that are going to Power 5 schools. That's tough to compete with, but, you know, we can't lose the focus on how good the basketball is, too, in some of the top teams and top players we produce out of here.
You know, we're underrated. I would put Jacksonville up there with Orlando, the Miami area, Tallahassee, the Tampa area. Like, we're tough. I think, you know, it's the old adage that familiarity breeds contempt, where we see each other all the time and then we want to give each other credit. But if you go to Orlando, they really respect Jacksonville teams. If you go to Miami, they really respect the Jacksonville team. So we, you know, have a tendency of losing respect for each other, and it's primarily because we see each other all the time. So
Tyga Bauer will use a take foul at midcourt. Get the subs on with 2:09 to play. So it looks like everything but the final score in doubt. Nease minutes away from moving on to the championship game to play Providence tomorrow night at 7:15. But don't forget, we're here at noon, 2 and 4 for our first 3 games. It'll be a great day of basketball here at FSCJ.
Nice bank shot by Justin Jackson, freshman.
Jalen Stewart loses it out of bounds, but they'll say it was last off of Jalen Kennedy. Mark Mitchell now on. Quickly gives it up. Now Leighton Toby for the Panthers. Strong drive to the basket. And rewarded with a foul. Jalen Stewart will shoot 2 for Nease.
It's a nice, tough drive by Stewart. Left hand finish, absorbs some contact.
Well, mission accomplished for the Nease Panthers. Coach Balin said earlier this week, you know, we want to play in the championship again. We would understand it's most likely against Providence in that scenario. We can't think about that on Tuesday and Wednesday. We still have Camden County, and then we got to play a second game before we get to Saturday. That's going to be so important in seeing what kind of team this team is, right? We lose our #1 scorer, Logan Ryan. We lose 6 other seniors from last year. You don't know what it's going to look like. Seems like they're checking a lot of the boxes in the first month of the year.
And they are. You know, they have been a team that I've kept my eye on from afar, and they're scary to play against. There you have late with them still taking charges. You know, that's complete buy-in to the program and what Coach Balin is trying to do. But they're going to be a scary team to play against. Their style of play is unorthodox. They're patient, which is usually tough for teams that like to pressure. They don't make a lot of mistakes. You know, I look forward to following Coach Balin and this program, you know, throughout the duration of the season to see how far they go. Can they eclipse their stopping point from last year with that loss to Crestview?
I lost in the district semis to Fletcher, but they have dreams of accomplishing more, but they know that's where some of it starts. Sandalwood replacing its own pieces from a 19-7 district championship team last year.
1 minute.
You'll really test yourself in this environment, especially after you win that first game. You know, really, all the 8 teams walking in here have those district championship aspirations and say, hey, we're good enough to win a game or 2 in the playoffs.
And I think, Sean, what's underestimated for these kids, you're used to playing in a smaller gym, and then you come over here to this beautiful FCSGJ campus, and then there's media here, there's cameras here, there's a lot of glitz and glamour, and it adds to the pressure of the performance for the kids. But, you know, if you want to play big-time basketball, college basketball, this is a taste of what it's like on a night-in, night-out basis.
Final 30 seconds. Coach Balin still wants his offense to run things as if it were the first minute. And they get a nice reverse layup underneath. Kemp Howell gets on the board in the closing seconds.
Nice finish.
3 won't fall for Sandalwood. Just have to get it across the timeline, and the Panthers can close out another win. From start to finish, Nease dominates and takes down Sandalwood to move on to the championship game of the 5th annual Fortegra Invitational. Jake Larson paves the way in the first half, and the Panthers cruise in the second to win 42-23.
And live on 1010XL Radio. Thanks for attending all of the games today and have a good night. Drive home
All right, Toby, any final thoughts from watching these come away with a 19-point win? How quick do you turn your focus to Providence, and what will it take to beat the unanimous #1 team in the city tomorrow?
Well, I'll tell you now, the focus for Coach Balin has shifted about 5 minutes ago. And you have to take care of the basketball. You can't give up second shots. And, you know, you just have to come with some grit. What they got out of Gonzalez tonight, the offensive rebounds, they're going to have to battle. Larson is going to have to make shots tomorrow. It's going to be a tough task. You just want your players to come out and compete, seize the moment, and you get an opportunity to do something great.
The Panthers literally and figuratively put themselves in the championship game tomorrow night. Let's bring you back courtside after 2 great semifinal games. Sean Salisbury, Coach Toby Frazier. You know, we're waiting for Josh Balin to come by, hopefully hear his thoughts on the big win. But again, right, to win at this level, to win 3 games in 3 days, it has to be total team efforts. You can't rely on just 1 or 2 guys to get it done.
And you can't, because you don't know who's not going to play well on any given night. So, you know, God forbid you have multiple guys play bad on the same night. So, you know, you want to have, this is what your skill development is for. That's what the weight room is for. You know, you have multiple capable guys, and both of these teams tomorrow in the championship game, they have that.
So we'll bring in Coach Balin after his team's 19-point victory after they took down Camden County by 12 yesterday. They are 7-0 and have their sights set on a 4th consecutive winning season, but they want so much more than that. Coach Balin now joins us. It started with a shutout in the first quarter. Jake Larson helps get the offense going, and you pretty much cruise in that second half. What pleases you most about a total team effort win like this?
You know, just the team culture that we have. Our guys are an absolute pleasure to coach, so I'm so proud of them for going out there and showing who they are and, you know, their character.
You know, we talk about it. It's not every day you lose News for Jack's first team member, Logan Ryan, who scores almost 20 a game for you last year, plus 6 other seniors. You told me yesterday you come into this season in September and you ask yourself, what is this going to look like? It seems like this team has checked every box to start a season. How would you assess their play, especially on their second game in 2 days?
Yes, sir. Well, it's a credit to Logan and all the guys that set the foundation and really did a great job of establishing a winning culture. And then what we do, you know, our guys have just really followed that lead and filled in and bought into, you know, being a true team. So we're thankful to all those, you know, previous seniors that have graduated and set a high standard and a high bar. And our guys have that winning mindset coming into this season. So just really pleased with the effort they've shown and the execution.
Tomorrow night, Providence championship game, all the eyes and attention on your program. What do you hope to show everybody watching, and how do you guys come away with a championship win?
You know, we're going to approach the game like every game. We're going to try to be the best we can be and compete to win. So what we're excited for the opportunity, and we're can't wait to get out there tomorrow night and compete for a win.
7:15 tomorrow night. Nease puts itself in the championship game with a dominant win. They will take on Providence. Coach, thanks for stopping by. Congrats on the win.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
That will do it for our coverage today. 2 great semifinals as Providence takes care of business. Nease rolls in the second half to take down Sandalwood. Remember, we will have all 4 games for you tomorrow starting at noon. It'll be Rains against Camden County in our 7th place game. And then at 7:15, the championship on TV. CW17 and our News for Jack's partners will have it live for you. You do not want to miss it. 2 of the best teams going toe-to-toe in the championship game. That'll do it for our coverage tonight. For Coach Toby Frazier, this is Sean Salisbury signing off from the Florida State College at Jacksonville.